I'm looking at this week's games. There are three games that really stand out to me. Three of them. We have the Eagles and the Steelers. We have the Raiders and Kansas City. And we have the Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks. So looking at all those three games, what are your thoughts to Eagles going in to Steelerville or Steeler Nation? Do you think the Steelers have do you think the Eagles have a chance against the Steelers this week?
Well, they certainly have a chance, but I think it's a very slim one. I would definitely favor leaning towards the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their defense is playing lights out right now. Cam Hayward and T.J. Watt are just absolutely blowing it up front. The secondary with Minkah Fitzpatrick, he's a ball hawk. They have a great unit back there. And then you add to the fact that, Ben Roethlisberger is back and at it. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be a tough task for the Battle of Pennsylvania. I like the Steelers in that one.
Yeah, I like looking at this game and watching the Steelers play the last couple of weeks, and the Eagles. The Eagles have played better football. Carson Wentz needs to show up this week. He's going to have to throw at least over 300 yards. He's going to have to get the ball out quick. The Steelers are going to try to get at him. T.J. Watt has been sensational. I've been very impressed with T.J. Watt. When we talk about J.J. Watt and some of these kids that come in, brothers, and some of these brothers never pan out to be great players. T.J. Watt, he really was drafted late in the first round. A lot of people thought he was going to be an early first-round draft pick. The Steelers really scooped him up later in the first round, and he has been one of the best players in that draft. He's been sensational. But the Steelers are the better team going into this game. I've liked what I've seen so far the last 2 weeks with the Eagles. I don't know where the Eagles are at. I don't know what weapons they have. Their running game has been all over the place. And this defense, who everybody thought this defense was going to be one of the best defenses in the league, in certain games they just don't show up against some of these good teams. So if they show up against the Steelers defensively, they can win the game. I think it's all about the Eagles' defense, not the offense. But I like the Steelers in this game. I think the Steelers are the better team. And Ben Roethlisberger, say whatever you want about Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger has been fantastic since coming back from a shoulder injury of that magnitude. So I like the Steelers in this game as well. The Raiders and Kansas City.
The Raiders and Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I'm going with KC. They're playing at home. Offensively, they haven't, hit their marks. Where they've been in the past. But listen, that's bad news for the rest of the league, because if Kansas City is winning without clicking on all four cylinders, and there's going to be a lot of trouble once they start to click. All these weapons that they have on the offensive side of the ball. The defense is playing better. I mean, you're starting to see, the Honey Badger making big plays. The pass rush is getting to the quarterback. This team is going to be a problem this year. There's been no hangover from the Super Bowl, and I expect the Kansas City Chiefs to win this one big.
I love what I've seen with the Raiders. I really have, even though in the first two games they were 2-0, and then they've lost their last two games. They've played a lot of good teams. You're in a division where there's a couple of teams that really stand out in the division, but the Raiders have been sensational. They could be a wild card team, but Kansas City has been extraordinary. Even the games that they haven't looked good, they've done enough to win the games. And Patrick Mahomes, you can't really say anything bad about Patrick Mahomes. He's been sensational. Their young running back, Speedy, what's the running back?
Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. The guy that they got from LSU, he might be Offensive Rookie of the Year too. He's been sensational. So I like Kansas City in this game too, even though I think the Raiders are going to put up the points and be able to compete with the high-flying Kansas City Chiefs offense. So I've got Kansas City in this game as well. How about the Chargers and the Saints this week?
Chargers, Saints. They're playing in New Orleans. Listen, the bright lights are going to be up there. Justin Herbert's been playing good ball. This kid has a future. Anthony Lynn just came out and said that he's going to be the starter moving forward. And I think that's the right decision. It's unfortunate that Tyrod didn't get to compete for his position, but I do like the Los Angeles Chargers. The New Orleans Saints, I mean, they're playing great football right now. Drew Brees, they haven't had Michael Thomas. I don't know if he's playing this week.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we'll see. That high ankle sprain, I had it. It's one of those injuries where, they say, oh, it's an ankle sprain, and everyone thinks it's, something you can come back from or even play with. But it's everything short of breaking your leg. So it's going to take a while for him, as a receiver to plant, to burst, to stop off that ankle. It's going to take him a while to get back into the fold. But with that being said, the Saints still have a great defense. They're very good on special teams as always. So I think I lean towards New Orleans on this game.
It's an interesting game, being that the Saints are 2-2, and Kamara has been their only offensive option. Drew Brees has not been the same quarterback. I don't know what weapons they have in the open field besides Michael Thomas. None of these guys have really stood out to me since Michael Thomas's injury. I like the LA Chargers. I like what I've seen the last couple of weeks. Justin Herbert's been sensational. They have a good running game. I think their running back's coming back this week, so they're going to add Eckler. They're going to add some offensive firepower to this offense already. This defense has played very well with even some of the injuries the LA Chargers have had early in the season. But again, they're going to New Orleans, and the Saints play very well at home, even with no crowd. I think the advantage goes to Drew Brees and this team. I want to see Drew Brees throw 400 yards in a game. We have not even seen him come close to even throw 350 yards this season. So that's the problem right now. And I think this is the last year we're going to see Drew Brees in a uniform. But all in all, I still think the Saints are the better team. If the Chargers win this game, they're still in the hunt to make the playoffs. If they lose this game, they're done. Their season is over. Being 1-4, I can't see them making the playoffs. Being early in the season, 1-4, when the schedule only gets harder. So I'm going to take the Saints in this game. The Vikings in Seattle.
Vikings, Seattle. Obviously I'm riding with the Seahawks. I think they're a well-oiled machine at this point in time. Their defense is great in the red zone. They have a lot of playmakers. I don't know if Jamal Adams, I think he still may be out this week, but with that being said, they still have great players, and they have the best quarterback in the league right now, Russell Wilson. So whenever you have a great quarterback who can lead you down, he can do it with his legs, getting the ball to DK Metcalf, Lockett, Chris Carson is running the ball physical as well. So I like what Seattle's doing. I like the trajectory that this team is going in, and I'm going to ride with the Seahawks.
I've watched Minnesota all season long, and they have not been the same team that we expected them to be. They added some good offensive and defensive players in the offseason. They really haven't produced. But I think the Vikings, being that they're 1-3, they won their first game last week, this is a big game for them. And I think going into Seattle, as well as Seattle's played, their defense in the secondary has been horrendous. They're one of the worst secondaries in football, even with Jamal Adams. So they give up a lot of points. If Minnesota can score between 21 and 24 points, they're going to be able to compete against Russell Wilson, and they can win the game. I got Minnesota in this game. I really do. I think Minnesota needs to win this game if they plan to make the playoffs as a wild card team. They'll bring their record to 2-3 and knock off the Seattle Seahawks, who are 4-0, one of the last 4-0 teams in the NFL. So I would love to see the Vikings knock them off. So I have the Vikings in that game. Another game that stands out to me, and I know where you're going, the Colts and the Browns. This is going to be a fun game to watch, Eric.
It is. It is going to be a great game. A great offensive line with the Colts against a fantastic defensive line in the Cleveland Browns. There's a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball. The Colts have a fantastic defense. Darius Leonard was, arguably the last 2 or 3 years has been, the best inside linebacker in the league. No one really talks about him. He's a phenomenal player. He's a tackle machine, and he does great in coverage. So, I like the Colts. I think that they have a real shot at beating this Cleveland Browns, slowing down this Cleveland Browns offense and causing some problems. So
you're killing me here. Killing me here. I'm trying to pick teams that are not you're going to pick, and I thought you were going to go with the Browns.
You think I'm just going to ride with Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry because they threw touchdown passes? You still have to look at the quarterback position and who's running the show. And if in a head-to-head matchup, I'm taking Phillip Rivers all day. Class of 04.
You're not going to follow through with your West Coast offense over here. You're not going to your West Coast guys.
They run the West Coast offense if you want to if you want to talk about it. For everybody that doesn't know, earlier in the show, Errol was trying to take credit for Jimmy Butler being from the East Coast when in fact he's from Houston, and the argument is that everybody on the East Coast always tries to take credit for other people's talents.
Oh, my God. First of all, I got the Colts, too. I think Phillip Rivers is figuring out the offense. Their defense is sensational. The Indianapolis Colts, who would have thought that they would have the number one defense, all-around number one defense in football right now. You would have thought Minnesota adding the players that they added in the offseason. You would have thought teams like San Francisco, even though they lost Nick Bosa, even the LA Chargers. Nobody would have thought the Colts, where their strength was their offensive line. Now, their offensive line is the number one offensive line in football. Their defensive line is the number one defensive line in football. And Phillip Rivers can actually make throws, unlike some of the quarterbacks we've seen in the last 2 years after Andrew Luck has retired. So I got the Colts in this game. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a fun game to watch. But I think Indianapolis is going to be able to shut down the offense of the Browns. So I got the Colts as well. Dolphins and San Francisco. Who do you got, buddy?
Dolphins and San Francisco. I mean, listen, I'm a Niners fan growing up. I think that they can figure out the quarterback position, as we saw on, was it Sunday or Monday night. They have a lot of talent around them. George Kittle's a beast. Their defense is solid. So I'm going to go with San Francisco in this matchup.
Well, I want to pick the Dolphins. I really, really, really want to pick the Dolphins.
Jimmy Garoppolo's playing too, so yes. San Francisco all day.
But that's why I'm not going to pick the Dolphins. Jimmy Garoppolo is coming back. He's supposedly at 95%. And if he's at 95%, he's going to be able to make the throws. And I think Kittles might be coming back too.
Oh, he played last week. Had 100 yards.
Did he play last week? I didn't even know he played last week.
Last week.
I didn't even know he came back last week from the high ankle sprain. So I'm very intrigued with the 49ers. I still worry about their defense. Losing Nick Bosa, this is not the same defense. They don't have Buckner anymore. So they don't have the players that they had last year, which really took them all the way to the Super Bowl and we're 5 minutes away from winning a Super Bowl. I don't think they're as talented as they were last year, but I have the 49ers as well. Is there any other games that stand out to you this week? I mean, your Falcons, I say your Falcons because I know you played for them. Do you think the Falcons win their first game against the Panthers this week?
I do. They've been close, and they've been playing well on the offensive side of the ball. It's just them and the Cowboys, their defense is disgusting.
Yeah.
It's been terrible, and hopefully they fix some things on the defensive side of the ball. If Keanu Neal can get on the field and stay healthy, I think that would be a big help. But we'll see. I think that, without Christian McCaffrey in the fold, I do like the chances. If there's any game that they can win, it would be this one at home against Carolina.
By the way, buddy, the worst defense in the NFL right now is the Jets. So there you go. So the worst all-around defense in the NFL right now, ranked 32 in practically every single category, is the New York Jets.